on to item G5, approval of owner-controlled insurance program. This is a first reading.
So I want to first talk about what an owner-controlled insurance program is. An OSIP, as we call it, is in lieu of traditional contractor-controlled insurance. Traditionally, what's done is then you enter into a contract with a contractor, and they include insurance. This involves these things like workers' comp, what's called builder's risk, general liability, professional liability, all that sorts of stuff. OSIPs, in our view and experience and kind of industry-wide, better manages district risk. One of the reasons for this is it also provides savings. In this case, our quote from our insurer is $2.4 million instead of $2.7 million, which is the quote we got from Turner for a traditional insurance program. So there's cost savings that are realized over going that traditional program. I want to talk about why it manages district risk better. The program that we are recommending to enter into is Keenan, who's a very large, well-respected insurer. It's their statewide educational wrap-up program, or called SOUP. What this is it spreads risk over a large number of small districts. And we've had great experience with it. We are partners with Keenan on many districts, both K through 12 and community colleges doing SOUPs. It's very comprehensive. It's focused on safety, and specifically safety in occupied sites where you have students. And it covers all the job site risks of the district, Turner, and subcontractors that we normally have under a regular program. But what it does is it spreads that risk over a large number of districts, as opposed to being a one-off program that you would enter in through with your general contractor, or your lease-back contractor. It includes workers' compensation, general liability, builder's risk, contractor's pollution, excess professional liability. They provide insurance administration as part of this cost. Claims oversight is part of this cost. It's all included. And what they call loss control services, which is basically they provide risk management consulting as part of the services built into the program. It's backed by the Zurich Insurance Group, which is sort of the gold standard of insurers worldwide. They're very highly financially rated, and they're dedicated to serving public agencies and construction. So it's a really good program. Zurich and Keenan are about as solid companies and insurers as you can get. Our recommendation is to approve the SOUP OSIP, which is hard to say, as an insurance program for the ECCL project. Offers a higher level of risk management because it spreads the risk over a number of districts and reduce costs to the district. So I'd be happy to entertain any questions everybody has on this.
Quick question. So it's from my understanding that without this insurance, there can be no work on the project. So we have to do this in order to get Turner out there on the job doing the work.
Yeah, they're currently insured through the work they've been doing on site, the demo contract. So that's in place.
Right.
The point of this is that the district is purchasing this separately as opposed to having to be part of the construction contract.
Right.
So we have to do one or the other.
Right. Right.
So maybe you could break down for me what these different components of insurance are. Workers' comp, I get, that's if any of their workers,
right,
or anyone visiting the site during the work gets injured. Workers' comp program covers that, and that's sort of what our contribution to that through this construction period.
Yeah, I mean, if you a traditional program, the contractor would need to carry workers' comp for any workers' comp claims that they have. In this case, the district's carrying that directly rather than through the contractor.
So Turner doesn't have it. They could. They're happy to do it for a fee.
Correct.
And we're saying, no, we'll take care of
right.
your workers' comp for you.
Correct.
As part of this. Comprehensive. General liability, that's anything that you could
yeah, I mean,
about?
You know, GL is just kind of general liability, which is not specific. It sort of is a bit of an umbrella coverage over these other coverages.
Yeah. So does that? I guess that's not going to cover tornado or earthquake or natural disaster or fire.
Builder's risk is what covers those sorts of things.
Okay.
General liability is, as I understand it, I'm not an insurance expert.
Yeah.
We have folks in our office, this is all they do, is if you have someone's touring the job site and they trip and hurt themselves on a
So
piece of
it's slip and
concrete,
fall. Mhm.
that's GL. It's not going to be covered under workers' comp or builder's risk.
Okay.
Builder's risk covers builder's risk is in the value of the construction contract. That is if there is a earthquake, fire, or flood to the work that Turner is doing.
Mhm.
That's what covers that.
Mhm. Okay.
Contractor pollution is related to demolition and runoff from the site, from concrete disposal that they take to a landfill, anything of that nature that pollutes the area as in the course of construction.
That if we ever get sued over, this insurance presumably would cover that.
Correct. On excess professional liability, we have professional liability coverage for the architect and engineering team. Turner's doing some design build work, so you have to have that as well. All of the mechanical, electrical, plumbing is professional liability. It's done by engineers, and so that's what that piece is. So those are the 5 general. There's other things like there's other smaller coverages like auto and some other things, but those are the 5 main components of the program.
Okay, and maybe general liability, would that be some, a high schooler climbs over the fence at night and, hurts themselves running around or something?
Correct.
That would cover that, okay. I had a mischievous past, all right, what can I say?
I do want to point out something in order to make sure that we're doing this diligently vis-a-vis the budget. I'll blow this up so you can see it, but the amount again, this is the budget that was in the packet for the approval of the JOA and Turner's contract. So I bring this back up to show everyone what we're looking at here. Bear with me one second while I make it a little larger.
You can blow that up, yeah. Yeah, and that was my main additional question, which was, can you
You'll
tell
see
us
that-
how we're saving money?
Right. There's a line item in the budget of $2.442 million, and that was the quote, or that was the estimate we had from Keenan at that time. You'll notice that the amount of this is 2.47, so it's about $30,000 more than what we have in the budget. The reason why we're comfortable approving that additional amount is that we've recently had a really good savings that we've realized. I want to, if I can figure out to scroll down on this computer. There we go. Bear with me here while I do that. It's on the next page. As you'll see here that there's a line item for Department of Industrial Relations labor compliance monitoring. We had right now, until this point, we've been working with the state of California DIR to do labor compliance monitoring. This is prevailing wage compliance. And we need to pay them in order to do that quite a bit of money. And so the budget to go with DIR is $147,000. Both ourselves and Turner have recommended use of a program called Elation Systems, which is actually a cloud-based thing you sign up for, which does the labor compliance monitoring. With the DAR, what you do is the subcontractors, they submit their certified payroll, and then DAR looks at it and certifies that it's good and files it away. With Elation, what that allows is they still have to submit that. It allows Turner to go online and make sure they've got it in place. It allows us to go online to make sure it's in place before it's submitted. We cannot do that with the DIR program. And so we're at the mercy of them to check it. We can't check it first, which is frustrating to all of us. Elation Systems is what the Alameda County uses, Department of the General Services Agency. We're very familiar with it. Turner's familiar with it. The quote for this is $400 a month, or over the 18-month duration of the project, it's $7,000. We've actually, because that's such a small contract, we've gone ahead and just entered into it, but it's going to save us $140,000. The other thing it does is it allows us to do community benefits agreement compliance. Very important. We now, with the state DIR does not do that. Now they just do certified payroll. This will allow Turner to monitor and make sure their subcontractors Elation also tracks CBA compliance. We're doing 2 projects for the county right now where we're using it to do what they call their PSCBA, which is the same thing. This will allow Turner and ourselves every month to check and make sure they have to enter in for all their labor on site, how many of those folks are local labor as defined by the CBA. So we will track certified payroll as required by the state and the CBA compliance with this system. Turner is familiar with it, we're familiar with it, allows us to do this and to save $140,000.
And just, if I may, for clarification, so there's cost savings here on this item based on our good fortune with this company, Elation Services,
Yeah.
and there's also cost savings because we're not going through Turner Construction to get the insurance as a component of their contract. We are instead doing that outside of that contract with Keenan.
Right. But again, we planned on the OSIP in the budget.
Right.
2.44 million, it's 2.47. So we have $30,000 in addition, but we're going to save 140 here. So I'm comfortable recommending that we approve. We just actually signed that agreement this week.
Right, I'm sorry, I'm just pointing out that the original amount, what we would have paid if we did this through Turner would have been much higher as well, correct?
Oh, I'm sorry.
They
Yes,
wanted
that's correct.
2.7 million? Was that their figure?
That was the Turner
Yeah.
quote, I think.
Turner's quote for insurance was 2.7.
And so
So we're saving.
We're saving there also.
200,000.
Right. But we've
200,000.
been budgeting 2.44. We had been budgeting as if we were going to have an OSIP, so there's no change to that. I just want to point out that the final quote from Keenan is 2.47, not 2.44. We can accommodate in the budget due to the savings we have by going with Elation Systems instead of the state DIR program.
So I have a couple of questions. One's ridiculous, and I'll ask it at the end. We have $500,000 in deductibles for workers' comp and general liability. And so my question to you is that now the district's on the hook for that.
I don't have the answer to that question now. I can certainly report back to you on that. I don't believe it's any different than what you would have with a traditional program through a contractor.
Well, if the contractor has the workers' comp, aren't they the ones liable for the deductible, not us?
I do not know the answer to that, and I would be happy to do that research and get back to you. I don't think there's a difference, though. In all the years of doing OSIPs, that issue has never come up as being a difference between the two programs. But I will research that and report back to the board.
Because, I mean, that, yeah, because that just, okay, and the other question I have is, can you define terrorism?
Oh, yeah, I saw that through, right? That's right.
Are we really, like, does this handle what I'll call egregious vandalism? Or does it have to be, because it says certified terrorism, and are we really worried about a terrorist attack at the ECCL? Because Keenan valuing it at $6,000 for $54 million doesn't seem to be worried about it as a risk. So I'm just curious why that's in there, why we added on terrorism coverage.
Yeah, that's very helpful.
And that's the ridiculous question.
It's not actually, I forgot to say it, because
So the look on your face tells me you don't know.
I have no, defining terrorism is not in my expertise.
Yeah,
But- But if what I can do is I can talk to Keenan about it and get some more information on it, though.
Yeah, I just,
Okay.
I'm assuming it is a,
it's an add-on.
It's actually,
Yeah,
no, it's
but it's
actually not,
also-
it's not an option, it's built into their program, though.
yeah.
The only optional coverage is what's called the extended professional liability, and we have that in place due to the fact that Turner's carrying the engineering,
It says optional builders risk certified terrorism.
no, we did not select that. That's not included.
Well, maybe you selected the builder's risk and
I'm not
I
sure.
see.
what
Oh,
you're-
okay.
I'm actually not sure what you're
Got
looking at.
it,
Certified
got it, thank you.
terrorism.
No, that clarifies it, you don't need to define
Okay.
terrorism.
Got it.
I don't see Mark's initials, I'm happy.
Yeah, the only option we
good
picked
catch, Mark.
was the excess professional
So-
liability because of the engineers.
Perfect. No, I'm happy then.
Okay, I'm actually a little worried about terrorism.
Are you?
Well,
however,
for $6,000,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
you got me curious. I'm
it,
curious. what exactly
it is not impossible that
happened.
So I
there
just,
might be a terrorist attack in this area, and if we have a $54 million project, and it's only going to cost us $6,000 to.
we're turning my mic off now.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
It's-
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean,
It'll be
I
helpful.
I don't feel like I need to meddle in that decision if you guys have made it, but if you've gone the other way, I wouldn't have objected.
I'll be happy for a definition, just, when you have time. I'm curious because what does that cover, like you said, so it would be helpful. Any other questions on this particular document? We're finished.
I'm sorry, what?
You're not finished, are you?
No, that's it.
Oh, okay, you got, let's see. Hey, any other questions on this first reading? So we do have some follow-up points. That's very helpful. Any members of the public wish to address on this particular item? Great. All right. So this is the first reading. We look forward to some additional points covered in the next board meeting. And thank you, Mr. Baker, for that presentation. And definitely illuminating the budget items. That's very valuable.
Yeah, we'll be doing again, as I mentioned, once we get the accounting thing underway, we'll have a budget update come at an upcoming board meeting. Because things, with a kind of a snapshot of where we are at the current time, probably in November, I'm guessing.
That's great.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. At this time,